Section 1. Honored for Faith. In this section, we delve into the lives of those who have been celebrated not for their worldly achievements, but for their unwavering faith in God. These individuals have left a legacy that transcends time and continues to inspire us today. Hebrews 11 is an amazing chapter in the Bible. It is often referred to as the Faith Hall of Fame because it lists numerous individuals who demonstrated extraordinary faith in God. This chapter serves as a testament to the power of faith and its ability to overcome insurmountable odds. It's like a giant hall of fame, but instead of celebrating athletic prowess or worldly fame, it honors those who have shown remarkable faith. These are the true heroes, whose stories have been passed down through generations. But this Hall of Fame celebrates faith, not athleticism or fame. It is a reminder that true greatness is not measured by physical strength or social status, but by one's trust in God and commitment to His will. These men and women trusted God. They faced incredible challenges and yet remained steadfast in their belief. Their faith was their guiding light, leading them through trials and tribulations. They are heroes of faith. Their stories are not just historical accounts, but lessons for us to learn from. They teach us that faith can move mountains, and that with God, all things are possible. One of those heroes is Samson. Known for his incredible strength, Samson's story is one of both triumph and tragedy. His life serves as a powerful example of how faith can empower us even in our weakest moments. You find his name in Hebrews 11 verse 32. This verse places him among the greats, acknowledging his faith despite his flaws. It is a testament to the fact that God can use anyone regardless of their past. He is listed among judges and prophets, kings and warriors. These were individuals who led their people, fought battles and delivered God's messages. Samson's inclusion in this list highlights the importance of faith in fulfilling one's divine purpose. Samson stands out because of his incredible strength. However, it wasn't just his physical power that made him remarkable. It was his unwavering faith in God that truly set him apart. But the Bible tells us that the source of his strength was his faith in God. This faith was the foundation of his power, enabling him to perform feats that seemed impossible to others. Samson's story reminds us that God can use anyone. No matter our weaknesses or past mistakes, God sees our potential and can work through us to achieve his purposes. He can use you and me, even with our weaknesses. Our imperfections do not disqualify us from being instruments of his will. In fact, it is often through our weaknesses that his strength is most evident. God doesn't need perfect people. He chooses those who are willing to trust him despite their flaws. It is through our faith that he can perform miracles and bring about change. He wants people who believe in him. Our faith is the key that unlocks his power in our lives. When we trust in him, we open ourselves to his guidance and strength. He wants to show his strength through us. By placing our faith in him, we become vessels of his power, capable of achieving great things for his glory. Let us be inspired by the heroes of faith and strive to live lives that honor God. Samson's story begins with a promise, a divine promise that would shape his destiny and the fate of his people. An angel appeared to his parents, delivering a message from God. This was no ordinary visit. It was a divine encounter that would change everything. The angel said that Samson would be a Nazirite, a person set apart with a special vow to God. This vow was not just a ritual, it was a lifelong commitment. This was a special vow, one that required strict adherence to certain rules and practices. It was a vow of dedication and separation. It meant that Samson would be set apart for God, living a life of devotion and service. His every action would be a testament to his faith. He wouldn't cut his hair. He wouldn't drink wine. These were symbols of his commitment, visible signs of his vow. He would be dedicated to serving God, his life a living sacrifice. Every moment, every decision would be guided by this sacred promise. God had a plan for Samson, a plan that was bigger than he could ever imagine. He was chosen for a purpose, to be a beacon of hope for his people. He would begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines. These were powerful enemies, oppressors who had tormented the Israelites for years. They were cruel to the Israelites, imposing harsh conditions and relentless suffering. The people cried out for a savior. Samson would face many dangers, challenges that would test his faith and strength. His journey would be fraught with peril. but God would give him supernatural strength, a power beyond human capability. This strength was a gift, a divine endowment. Samson's strength was not his own, it was a manifestation of God's power working through him, a testament to divine intervention. It came from the Holy Spirit, the source of all true power. When Samson was in alignment with God's will, he was invincible. When Samson obeyed God, he was unstoppable. His victories were not just personal triumphs, but divine acts of deliverance. But when Samson disobeyed, he became weak. His strength waned, and he faced the consequences of his actions. His life is a powerful reminder that true strength comes from God. It is a story of faith, obedience, and the incredible power of divine purpose. The book of Judges tells us about Samson's amazing feats of strength. Once he killed a lion with his bare hands. Another time he used a donkey's jawbone to defeat 1,000 Philistine soldiers. These weren't just acts of brute force, they were miracles. They showed God's power working through Samson. Samson's victories gave the Israelites hope. They saw that their God was stronger than the Philistines. They were inspired by Samson's courage. His faith encouraged their own faith. Section 4. The struggle with temptation. But Samson's life was not a complete victory. He struggled with temptation. He made bad choices. Despite his immense strength and divine purpose, Samson was human, and like all humans, he had his weaknesses. His journey was marred by moments of poor judgment and impulsive decisions. He let his desires control him. His heart often led him astray, and he found himself ensnared by his own passions. These desires clouded his judgment and led him down a path of self-destruction. He fell in love with a woman named Delilah. Delilah was a Philistine. She was manipulative. She saw an opportunity in Samson's affection and decided to exploit it for her own gain. She was more interested in Samson's strength than in him. Her intentions were far from pure, and she was willing to betray Samson for the right price. The Philistine leaders bribed Delilah. They offered her a substantial reward to uncover the secret of Samson's strength. The lure of wealth was too tempting for Delilah to resist. They wanted to know the secret of Samson's strength. Delilah kept asking Samson. He finally told her. After much persistence and manipulation, Samson revealed his secret, trusting her with his most vulnerable truth. His strength came from his hair because of his Nazirite vow. Delilah betrayed him. She took advantage of his trust and cut off his hair while he was sleeping. She cut off his hair while he was sleeping. Samson lost his strength. The Philistines captured him. They blinded him. Without his hair, Samson was powerless, and his enemies seized the opportunity to capture and torture him. They forced him to work in a mill. The once mighty warrior was now reduced to a life of hard labor, grinding grain in a prison. Samson had fallen a long way. His life, once filled with promise and divine purpose, was now marked by regret and suffering, but God still had a plan for his life. Even in his darkest moments, there was a glimmer of hope. Samson's story was not over, and his final act would be one of redemption and fulfillment of his destiny. Section 5. A final act of faith. The Philistines gathered together. They wanted to celebrate their victory. They brought Samson out to entertain them. They mocked him. They laughed at him. They had forgotten about the power of God. Samson was weak and blind, but his hair had started to grow back. He prayed to God. He asked for strength one more time. He wanted to defeat the Philistines. He wanted to honor God. God heard Samson's prayer. He answered his prayer. Samson pushed against the pillars of the building. The whole temple collapsed. He killed more Philistines in his death than he had in his entire life. Section 6. Finding strength in weakness. Samson's life teaches us important lessons. We learn about God's grace. God used Samson even though he wasn't perfect. God forgave him. God gave him a chance to do something heroic. We learn that faith doesn't mean we won't struggle. Samson faced many enemies. He also struggled with his own desires, but even when he fell, God was with him. Most importantly, we learn that God's strength shines brightest in our weakness. When we are humble and we rely on him, he can do amazing things through us. Section 7. Your story of faith. Don't let your past mistakes define you. You may have made wrong choices, but God can still use you. He can bring good out of bad situations. Learn from Samson's life. Turn to God. Trust in his love. Believe in his power. He can make you strong. What's your story? How has God shown his strength in your weakness? Comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share this with someone who needs hope today.